Kai's wife is a cold-faced female CEO. Every day, she's busy in the kitchen, tying an apron around him, not at all like a powerful woman. Until that day, he saw her picture on the news. Now it's confirmed. This sweet little wife who learns to cook for him is the legendary business queen he once saw, capable of moving mountains. Why would she deceive him like this? And when he finally figured everything out, he realized it was too late. He had already fallen in love with both sides of her. "Honey, what do you want to eat today?" He put down his phone and looked at the figure in the kitchen, wearing a pink apron and chopping vegetables. The sunlight streamed through the window, outlining a soft, beautiful silhouette. "Anything. I love whatever you make." "Then I'll make braised meatballs for you. You said you wanted some yesterday." Her voice was sweet and melodious, like it was coated with honey. This is his sweet little wife. They've been married for 3 months. If someone asked him how he felt about these 3 months of married life, he'd say like sleeping on a cloud made of cotton candy, immersed in a bubble of happiness every day. But at this moment, he stared at the photo on his phone and felt like he had swallowed a block of ice. In the photo, his sweet little wife was standing in front of an office building, but she wasn't wearing home clothes or a little dress, but a neat black business suit. Her expression wasn't the gentle tenderness she usually showed, but cold as ice. Even more damning was the title below the photo, $text frowny face $. Anya Chun, president of Chun Group, acquires Bit Technology, intending full-scale metaverse layout. This photo was taken 2 years ago, and Anya Chun is his sweet little wife. "Honey, what are you spacing out about?" Her voice suddenly came from his ear, and he hurriedly turned off his phone. "Nothing." She leaned over and pecked him on the cheek. "Liar, your face is all red. You wouldn't be sneaking peeks at something you shouldn't be, would you?" "How could I?" "Hee hee." She pouted, pretending to be angry. "You're not allowed to look at other women." Looking at her cute appearance, he suddenly felt particularly dazed. Could this little woman who studies recipes for a long time and gets frustrated to the point of almost crying when a dish fails really be the legendary Anya Chun, the decisive and ruthless female president of the Chun Group? It all started 3 months ago. That day, he was walking down the street when he suddenly stumbled and tripped over something. "Ah, careful." He instinctively reached out, only to be knocked to the ground. When he came to his senses, he found a girl lying in his arms. "I'm so sorry, so sorry." She hardly got up off of him. "I didn't have my balance. Are you hurt?" He stared at her face, stunned. This face had appeared countless times in business magazines and news reports. Although she looked flustered now and her makeup was very light, there was absolutely no mistaking it. Anya Chun, the famous female CEO of Jianquan, a powerful woman in the business world. But she didn't seem to recognize him at all, or rather, didn't remember who she was. I seem to have lost my memory." She looked around blankly. "I don't remember who I am." He didn't know what to say for a moment. "Can you help me?" She looked at him pitifully. "I don't remember anything right now. This must be some kind of prank, right?" But her eyes were too sincere, and her expression didn't seem to be acting. "How about I take you to the hospital to get checked out?" She nodded, instinctively grabbing the hem of his shirt. This small action made his heart tremble. The legendary cold-faced businesswoman now looked like a lost little girl. After that day, they were together. To be exact, she clung to him. "I only remember you. You're my only support," she said. He tried to explain it was just because he was the first person she met after her amnesia, but she shook her head. "No, I feel like there's something special between us." And just like that, she moved into his house. A month later, they got married. It all happened so fast, it felt unreal. But every time he wanted to refuse, she would give him that pitiful look. "You don't want me anymore?" His heart would melt uncontrollably. Now that he thinks about it, could this all have been her plan? But why? He's just a small-time entrepreneur who hasn't even secured series of funding for his company. And she's Anya Chun, the president of the Chun Group, worth billions. Is this marriage an accident or a trap? "Husband." Her voice broke his train of thought. "Come and try it. I made it." He looked at the steaming lion's head meatballs on the table and then at her expectant gaze. Suddenly, he had an indescribable feeling. If this really is a scam, she's putting on a very convincing act. She's been watching videos and studying recipes every day to learn how to cook. She even made a special notebook to cater to his tastes, filled with detailed notes on what he likes and dislikes. She brings him brown sugar ginger tea when he's working late. She waits for him at the door in a little apron when he comes home from overtime. She acts cute and silly to make him happy when he's in a bad mood. Is all of this really an act? Husband, what's wrong today? She looked at him worriedly. Is work not going well? He shook his head and reached out to ruffle her hair. It's nothing, just a little tired. Her hair is so soft, like silk slipping through his fingers. Suddenly, he really wants to ask her, who exactly are you? Are you that cold-faced female CEO or my sweet little wife? You say you love me, is it true? But he didn't ask anything because he's afraid that if he knows the truth, this warm home will shatter. Ah. She suddenly covered her head, her face turning pale. He quickly supported her. What's wrong? My head hurts so much. She curled up in his arms like a wounded animal. This has been happening more and more frequently lately. Every time he wants to ask if she's remembered anything, she says she doesn't remember. The doctor said it might be that she's gradually recovering her memories. He held her, feeling her slightly trembling body. Suddenly, he had a strong premonition. This peaceful life is coming to an end, and it seems that he can't live without her anymore. Compared to the gentle and endearing little wife he is now, the scene when he first met Anya-chun was completely different. That was his first month working at the startup company after graduation. The company was looking for investment, and they heard that the Chun Group was interested in their project. Xiao Zixin, you'll be going with us later. The boss patted him on the shoulder. You're the lead programmer on this project. You know the technical issues best. He nodded and adjusted his tie. This was the first time he had attended a business meeting of this level, and his palms were sweating with nervousness. When they arrived at the Chun Group building, the receptionist led them to the conference room. All the way there, he was silently reciting what he was going to say. President Chun will be here shortly. He quickly checked the PPT again. While he looked up, he suddenly saw a figure standing in the doorway. That was the first time he saw Anya Chun. A black professional suit, high heels, her long hair pulled back. Her aura was so powerful she attracted everyone's attention as soon as she appeared. Let's begin. Her voice was cold, and she sat in the head seat and immediately opened the documents. They began the project presentation. Everything was going smoothly until she suddenly interrupted. This security design has a problem. You think it's okay? He asked, raising his eyes to meet hers. Yes, I stood up. We implemented triple encryption. Can you guarantee user data won't be leaked at all? Well, what if hackers attack? We have contingency plans. Be specific. He was flustered by her questions, stammering and unable to answer. If you can't even explain that clearly, how can you expect to get investment? She closed the file. The project is good, but too rough around the edges. Same time next week. If you can solve the security issues, we'll talk again. With that, she turned and left. The sound of her heels on the floor was like a stomp on his heart. He felt like a scolded schoolboy. I'm sorry, he said to his boss. Don't be discouraged. Having a second chance is already good, his boss consoled him. Director Chun is known for being strict. The fact that she didn't reject it outright means there's still hope. He stayed up all night for a week, completely overhauling the security system. The second time they met, he knew every detail inside and out. For every question she asked, he answered with 3. Finally, the corners of her lips slightly turned up. Not bad, you've improved quickly. That single compliment made his heart skip a beat. That was the only time he saw Anya-chan smile. The moment the iceberg melted was breathtakingly beautiful. Later, the project went through, but he never saw her again until the accident 3 months ago. Looking back now, was she already planning something back then? $8 / ding sound alerted him to a news notification on his computer. Chun Group Vice President Su Meng resigns. Chun Group enters new round of personnel changes. He clicked on the news and quickly skimmed the content. Due to health reasons, Chun Group Vice President Su Meng has applied for resignation. Chun Group President Anya Chun has not made a public appearance for 3 months. 3 months. That's exactly the duration of her amnesia. Honey. Her voice came from the $. What dollar? What do you think about making a cake today? He watched her wearing an apron, bustling about in the kitchen. It was hard to imagine the powerful businesswoman who is all about business now flipping through cookbooks and researching how to whip egg whites. The contrast was too great, but for some reason, he was actually enjoying the life they had. Even though he knew it might be a setup, knew she might be using him. but coming home every day to see her smiling face, smelling the food she cooked with her own hands, filled his heart with an indescribable warmth. That feeling was warmer than the moment she smiled at him back then. Ah! A shriek came from the kitchen. He hurried over and saw her looking regretfully at the flowers spilled on the floor. "I'm sorry," she pouted, looking dejected. "I'm so clumsy." He squatted down to help her clean up. "It's okay, we'll clean it up together." She suddenly smeared some flour on his face and then giggled. "Honey, you look like a little kitty." He was stunned for a moment, then he laughed along with her. But as he laughed, he suddenly wanted to cry. If this was really a play, then it was too real. Did she really forget the past, or was she acting? And if she was acting, why was she being so good to him? Just as he was thinking that, she suddenly leaned in and kissed him. "Honey, what are you spacing out about?" He looked into her eyes. Those eyes were the same as the cold, unfeeling CEO he saw in the conference room, but now they were full of tenderness. Was that tenderness real? He suddenly wanted to hold her and ask her all the questions in his heart, but he didn't dare to because he was afraid that if he knew the truth, even the current tenderness would disappear. "Honey, let's go to the supermarket and buy some new flour." She tugged on his hand pleadingly. Okay. He'll let her lead him out the door. Perhaps pretending to be an idiot for a little longer wouldn't be bad. At least for now, she's his little darling wife, his alone. President Xi, something bad happened. Chunhao rushed into the office, his face pale. He was texting his wife, and he looked up when he heard his voice. "What's wrong?" Jing Group has released a new product, and its functions heavily overlap with ours. His finger froze on the screen. Jing is an industry giant. If they want to enter the market, what's the specific situation? Their trial version is already online. The interface design, function layout, and even the code structure are very similar to ours. Chunhao handed him his tablet. "See for yourself." He swiped open the page, and the more he looked, the more he felt something was wrong. This can't be a coincidence. "I think so too." Chunhao lowered his voice. Someone leaked information. He closed his eyes, feeling a throbbing in his temples. He's been struggling for a year in this startup, and just when things were looking up, this happens. His phone vibrated, a message from his honey. "What do you want to eat today?" Looking at the smiley face she sent, he suddenly felt a little lost. If the company goes under, what will he use to make her happy? "You go back first, I'll think of a solution." Chunhao hesitated. "What about we go to Linda's? Weren't they the ones who invested in us?" He shook his head. "No, we just have a simple investment relationship with Linda's. We can't trouble them with this kind of thing. Besides, the president of Linda's is currently in my house cooking." He opened his computer with a wry smile, preparing to analyze the losses first. Suddenly, he received an email. "Qingmei Capital, Qingmei Y. President Xiao, I've admired your name for a long time. I wonder if you're available to meet and chat." Qingmei Y, the president of Qing's group. She started her own business at a young age and is known in the industry for her ruthless methods. Is this a case of the snipe and clam fighting, benefiting the fisherman? Just as he was hesitating whether to reply, his phone rang again. "Honey, can you come home early today? I want to try out the new apron I bought." Looking at his wife's coquettish message, he suddenly made up his mind. No matter what difficulties he encounters, he has to persevere for the sake of giving her a home. "Okay, President Qin, you set the time and place." He replied. The next day, at a high-end coffee shop. "President Xiao is indeed young and promising," Qin Meiwei said, stirring her coffee elegantly. "Our company has a very good impression of your project. President Qin is flattering me." He picked up his coffee. "I wonder what you wanted to discuss with me today." "Cooperation," she said directly. "Your technology is very good, but you lack resources. Why don't we join forces?" He put down his coffee cup. "How exactly would we cooperate?" "Simple. We acquire you." She gave a professional smile. "We'll offer a good price." "I'm sorry, we have no intention of selling." "Don't be so quick to refuse." She handed him a document. "This is our sincerity." He opened it, and his hand trembled. This number was enough for him to live comfortably for the rest of his life. "Think about it." She got up to leave, "but be quick. The market can't wait too long." He knew what she meant. If they didn't accept the acquisition, Jing would completely suppress them. At that time, they wouldn't even have the qualifications to negotiate. "Give me 3 days." "Okay," she nodded gracefully. "I look forward to hearing good news from you." Watching her leave, he suddenly felt a chill down his spine. While he got home, his wife was busy in the kitchen. Watching her cheerful demeanor, a wave of guilt suddenly washed over him. If she knew how dire his situation was, would she regret marrying him? Honey, he suddenly said, if we suddenly became poor, would you leave me? What nonsense are you talking about? She turned and pinched his cheek. I was looking for a partner and a husband, not in $text, ATM, $. Looking at her serious expression, his heart warmed. Besides, she winked at him, I believe my husband will definitely succeed. Her words caught him off guard. It felt like there was an indescribable certainty in her tone when she said that, but in her current state, she shouldn't know about his company situation. Honey, she suddenly clutched her head. My head, it hurts. He quickly supported her. Every time her headache flared up, he felt both anticipation and fear. Anticipation that she might remember, and fear that she would. It's okay, she leaned against him. Maybe I'm just too tired. He carried her to the sofa. Lie down for a while, I'll go get you some water. As he turned away, he didn't see the heartache that flashed in her eyes. That night, he had a dream. He dreamt that his wife had returned to being the CEO of the Chun Group, looking down on him from above. You're not good enough for me. He woke up startled, only to find her sleeping soundly on his shoulder. It was clearly the same face, but now it held the most tender expression. He gently kissed her forehead. No matter what, he has to protect this home. Just then, his phone vibrated. It was an anonymous email. Regarding the Chun Group's new product, I have some information you might be interested in. The content of the anonymous email made him restless. The source code for Chun Group's new product is highly similar to yours because they obtained your code from the inside. He told Chun how about this. A mole. He frowned. It's unlikely. There's so few of us, and we've all been through thick and thin together. He thought so too, but the evidence was right in front of them. Wait, Chun Hao suddenly said. Could it have been leaked by the Chun Group? After all, they invested in us, so they definitely have the source code too. His heart skipped a beat. The Chun Group. Anya Chun, his wife. Impossible. If she wanted to deal with him, there was no need to do it this way. Investigate it, he rubbed his temples. Start with an internal investigation. While he got home, his wife was reading a book on the sofa. Honey, you're back. She rushed over and hugged him. So late today. He held her close. There were some things at the company. She sniffed his clothes. You stayed up late again, didn't you? I'll make you a bowl of noodles. Watching her busy in the kitchen, he suddenly said, Honey, why do you think people lie? Her hand paused for a moment. Why are you asking that all of a sudden? Just asking. Maybe. She put the noodles in front of him. It's because they love too deeply and don't know how else to express it. He was stunned by that answer. She put a soft-boiled egg in his bowl. For example, I'm lying to you that I made these noodles myself, but actually I just ordered takeout because I don't want to disappoint you. He smiled silly. She tilted her head and looked at him. Honey won't blame me for lying to you, right? No. He patted her head. I understand your intentions. She leaned against his shoulder. Then my husband must trust me too. Whatever happens, let's face it together, okay? His heart warmed. Just as he was about to say something, she clutched her head and curled up. Headache again? It's nothing. She forced a smile. Maybe I'm just too tired lately. He carried her to the bedroom. Rest well. We'll talk about everything tomorrow. After she fell asleep, he went back to the study. Staring blankly at the computer screen for a while, he decided to investigate the initial investment. He pulled up the contract, and the investor representative section clearly stated, Anya Chun. So when he first met her, she had already planned everything. No, maybe he's overthinking it. Lost in thought, his phone rang. It was Chin Mei Wai. How's the consideration going? He glanced at his wife sound asleep in bed. Sorry, we won't sell the company. Are you sure? Her voice suddenly became meaningful. Shouldn't you find out who your wife really is first? His heart skipped a beat. What do you mean? Tomorrow at $text M. Same place. She hung up after speaking. He spent the whole night smoking on the balcony until dawn, when his wife came looking for him. Honey, what are you doing here? He put out the cigarette and turned to look at her. Nothing, just couldn't sleep. Is work not going well? She asked with concern. Do you want me to help you analyze it? No need. He gently hugged her to stay home and rest. Turning away, he saw a flicker of disappointment in her eyes. At $text M. He arrived at the coffee shop. Chin Meiwai was already waiting there with a brown paper bag in front of her. Take a look, she pushed the bag towards him. He opened it, and his pupils contracted sharply. It contained several photos. The photos showed Anya Chen entering and leaving the Chen Corporation building. The latest one was just 2 days ago. Your amnesiac sweetheart isn't as simple as you think, Chin Meiwai smiled. Want to hear about her real identity? He stared at the photos, his fingers trembling slightly. Just then, his phone vibrated. It was a message from his honey. What do you want for dinner? I'm going to the supermarket. He turned off his phone immediately. Chin Meiwai's voice rang in his ears. Do you know why she approached you? He took a deep breath. Tell me. Because a loud bang interrupted her. He turned to see an out-of-control truck crashing directly into the coffee shop. Watch out. Instinctively, he lunged toward Chin Meiwai, but someone pushed him hard. As he fell to the ground, he saw a familiar figure rush in. It was his sweet wife? No, it was Anya Chen, the CEO of Chen Corporation. She was wearing casual clothes, her once noble and elegant $text aura $text gone dollar, but her movements were clean and decisive, pushing him out of the way. Then, she was hit. Wife! He shouted and rushed over to her. As he held her in his arms, a trickle of blood appeared at the corner of her mouth. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to lie to you. Don't talk. He trembled as he pulled out his phone. Ambulance. Call an ambulance quickly. She smiled weakly. No need. I already checked. The hospital is very close. As she spoke, she fell into a coma. He carried her towards the hospital, tears streaming down his face uncontrollably. Why? Why did you save me? Why did you lie to me? What was all this for? The smell of disinfectant in the hospital was making him want to throw up. She's fine, just a slight concussion, the doctor said. But the previous injury may have an impact. What previous injury? Don't you know? The doctor opened the medical record. She was treated here 3 months ago, also for a head injury. He was stunned. 3 months ago was when she lost her memory, so she really was injured. He pushed open the hospital room door, and she was leaning against the bed, looking out the window. Hearing the sound, she turned her head and smiled weakly. Honey. That, honey, made his nose sting. Why were you following me? I wasn't following you. She lowered her head. I was just worried about you. Worried about me? He sneered. Worried about what I'll say to Chin Meiwai. It's not that, she grabbed his hand. I'm really worried about you. He shook off her hand. Who exactly are you? I'm your wife. Tears welled up in her eyes. Stop pretending. He threw the photo Chin Meiwai gave him on the bed. You didn't lose your memory at all. She looked at the photo, silent for a long time. I'm sorry, she finally said. I admit I didn't completely lose my memory. Why did you lie to me? Because, she bit her lip. Because I didn't know how to tell you. Tell me what? I like you. Those 3 words stunned him. I've liked you since the first time we met. Her voice was very soft. That day in the conference room, you were so nervous you couldn't even speak clearly, but you still insisted on defending your project. Do you know, that was the first time I'd ever seen someone like that, not trying to please me, but genuinely believing in what they were doing. Later you stayed up all week, making the proposal flawless. That's when I thought, I have to have this person. But she smiled bitterly. With my position, how could I directly pursue you? So you designed this whole charade? No. She shook her head. The car accident was real. I really was injured, and I really did have a period of blurred memory. But you remembered later? Yeah, she nodded. I remembered a month ago, but I didn't dare say anything. Why? Because I was afraid you would leave me after you knew the truth. Tears finally fell. I was afraid you'd think I was deceiving you, afraid you'd think I had ulterior motives. He looked into her eyes. The emotion in them didn't seem to be a lie. What about the Jing Group's matter? What Jing Group's matter? The source code for their new product is exactly the same as ours. She paused. Are you saying you suspect I leaked it? He didn't say anything. She suddenly struggled to get out of bed. Give me the computer. What are you doing? I want to investigate this. Her eyes sharpened, and in an instant, she regained the aura of a female CEO. Don't be ridiculous. You need to rest. No, she grabbed his hand. I can't let anyone hurt you. What? She looked him straight in the eyes. Because I love you. Not because of any plan. Just simply love you. Those words were like a key, opening a door in his heart. Then why? Why did you pretend to not understand anything? Why act like a little white rabbit? Because I don't know how to be a wife. Her voice softened again. I only know how to be a CEO. I don't know how to do housework. I don't know how to take care of people. So I watch a lot of videos, learning from others. Do you know? She wiped away tears. When I was learning to cook, I cut my hands so many times, but I didn't dare cry out in pain because I was afraid you'd find out I was acting. The first time I made you a meal, it was awful, but you still said it was delicious. I was so touched. I know this is deceiving you, but I really didn't know what else to do to make you like me too. He watched her sob uncontrollably, and the last of his defenses crumbled. He pulled her into his arms, feeling her slightly trembling body. Silly girl, just be yourself. But I'm afraid you'll think I'm too aggressive. I like you when you're aggressive. He kissed her forehead. Otherwise, I wouldn't have fallen in love with you at first sight in the conference room. She was stunned. What did you say? I said I also like you from the moment we first met. She threw herself into his arms. Honey, okay, don't cry. He wiped away her tears. The most important thing for you now is to rest well. Leave everything else to me. No way. She tried to get out of bed again. I must investigate the Jing's business. Listen to me. He held her down. I believe you. She finally calmed down, leaning against him. Honey, can I stop pretending to be an innocent rabbit? Of course. Then I'm going back to the company tomorrow. No, you need to recover. But, no buts, he said in a president's tone. That's an order. She chuckled. Understood, President Honey. Looking at her acting spoiled, he suddenly realized. Both the innocent rabbit she plays and her real self are her. Both are his wife, his only wife. What files are you trying to check? He looked at his wife typing on the laptop. The source code leak. She didn't even look up, her fingers flying across the keyboard. I suspect there's a problem inside Jing's. After she was discharged from the hospital, she reverted to her decisive CEO self, except now she's just being a CEO at home. How are you going to investigate it? It's simple. She glanced at the screen. Check their company's recent personnel changes. He leaned over to look. You have their information. Of course, she smiled smugly. Don't forget who your wife is. Looking at how cute she was, he couldn't resist kissing her. Don't mess around. She pretended to push him away. Would you like me to continue the story, perhaps focusing on how Kai and Anya solved the source code leak? In disgust, let me investigate properly. Any results? Yeah. She pointed to the screen. Look at this person. They just transferred to Jing's from our competitor last month, and they even got a promotion. What does that mean? It means, she suddenly clutched her head. It hurts. Stop checking. Rest. No way. She gritted her teeth. I have to help you. Listen to me. He closed the laptop. Your health is more important. But, no buts. He picked her up and carried her to the bed. Sleep. She squirmed in his arms. Then promise me you're not allowed to see Chin Mei Wai, okay? And don't believe anything she says, okay? And especially, he leaned down and stopped her with a kiss. I only believe you. She finally quieted down, her face slightly red. Honey, she said softly. Actually, I don't have to pretend to be a cute wife anymore, but I still want to cook for you. Why? Because, she buried her face in his chest. Because seeing the smile on your face when you eat my food makes me very happy. His heart warmed, and just as he was about to say something, his phone suddenly rang. It was Chun Hao. President Xiao, something's happened. What is it? Customer data has been stolen. He sat up abruptly. When did it happen? We just discovered it. A third of our users have already been lost. I'll be right there. She finished speaking and started typing on the keyboard, her speed dazzling him. Found it. She pointed at the screen. The $\text IP dollar address is at the Jing Corporation. And in what? This code, she bit her lip. It's in the Chun Corporation's internal style. Silence filled the office. So, Chun Hao said cautiously, it really was leaked by someone at the Chun Corporation? Impossible, she said decisively. Unless what? Unless someone stole my code. She stood up. I need to go back to the company. I'll go with you. No need. She shook her head. You handle the client matters here. Leave this to me. Watching her turn around and leave so decisively, he suddenly felt especially at ease. This was the real her, efficient and decisive. After finishing the client's appeasement, it was already late at night. His wife still hadn't returned. He sent her a message. $text. Did you find anything? $. Yeah. I've got a lead. she replied quickly. Honey, would you accompany me somewhere tomorrow? Where? Qing Corporation. He was stunned. Why? I want to ask Qin Mei Wai face to face. She sent a cute $text emoji dollar and let her know that there are consequences for messing with my husband. Looking at those words, he suddenly felt a little heartache. She was forcing a smile to keep him from worrying. She was disguising herself again, and again, she must be more tired than anyone. Honey, maybe we should give up on this project, he texted. Start over in a different direction. No way, she replied firmly. This is your dream. I won't let anyone ruin it. He looked at the phone screen and suddenly felt like crying. It turned out that he always thought he was protecting her, but it was she who had been protecting him. Honey, I love you. A long time passed before she replied. I love you too, so I will definitely protect you. Looking at that sentence, he suddenly had a bad feeling. What exactly was she going to do? The Qing Corporation building was even more imposing than he had imagined. Remember, let me do the talking later. His wife straightened her suit. You just watch from the side. Looking at her sharp appearance, he nodded. The receptionist said that President Qin was in a meeting and asked them to wait in the waiting area. His wife suddenly took his hand. Honey, no matter what happens later, you have to believe me. Before he could ask anything, Qin Mei Wai appeared. Oh, isn't this President Chun? She smiled meaningfully. What? Finally not pretending. His wife stood up. Qin Mei Wai, did you steal my code? Steal? Qin Mei Wai laughed. We bought it fair and square. What do you mean? Don't you know? Qin Mei Wai looked at him. Didn't your husband tell you? He was confused. Tell me what? Your company's source code. Qin Mei Wai took out a contract. You signed it and sold it to us. He was stunned. Impossible. Take a look for yourself. He took the contract and immediately saw his signature, but he didn't remember signing this contract at all. This is fake. His wife snatched the contract. This signature is forged. Is that so? Qin Mei Wai took out another document. Then what about this? The Qin Corporation's internal email saying to spare no expense to win the Shao Corporation project. He looked at his wife. Her face changed. The Qin Corporation's investment in Shao Corporation was to steal their technology, right? And then sell it to us at a high price. That's not it. His wife was anxious. Honey, you have to believe me. Then explain, why did you suddenly become interested in him? Qin Mei Wai interrupted her. The dignified president of the Qin Corporation, why would she take a fancy to the owner of a small company? He looked at his wife, waiting for her answer. She bit her lip, silent for a long time. Because, she took a deep breath, because I investigated him. His heart sank. Before investing, I had people investigate his background, she continued. I found him to be very excellent and very persistent, so you engineered the car accident, faked amnesia, married him? No, that's not it. His wife turned to him. Honey, the car accident was real, and my feelings for you are real. He took a step back. So, everything else is fake. Anya, enough. He interrupted her. Let's go back. Honey. He ignored her and turned to leave. Her footsteps came from behind. Let me explain. No need to explain. He stopped. From the beginning, it was a setup, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. Anya. He snapped at her for the first time. Do you know what I hate the most? Being treated like a fool. She was stunned by his outburst, large tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry. She reached out to touch him, but stopped in midair. I just didn't know how to tell you. He sneered. So you just kept lying to me? Not lying. She wiped away her tears. I really fell in love with you. Love me? He laughed sarcastically. Love me so you investigated me? Love me so you set me up? Because I was afraid. Her voice trembled with sobs. Afraid that you would leave me after you knew the truth. Won't you be leaving anyway now? Those words stabbed in her heart like a knife. She swayed. Stop acting. He turned to leave. Wait. She grabbed the hem of his shirt. Let me finish explaining, okay? Please. He shook off her hand. No need to explain. I'll have the divorce papers sent over by a lawyer tomorrow. After saying that, he left without looking back. Behind him, there was a $text thump dollar sound, like something falling to the ground. He forced himself not to turn around. Back home, looking at the traces of her everywhere, he suddenly couldn't hold it together anymore. The apron stained with flour from cooking, the clothes neatly folded after washing, the half-finished cup of coffee she left on the coffee table, The cookbook she was halfway through reading on the bedside table. So, even learning to cook was part of the plan? His phone suddenly rang. It was Chun Hao. President Xiao, something bad has happened. What is it now? The Qin Corporation has initiated the acquisition process. They're going to forcibly acquire our company. His hand trembled. What? We just received a notice saying that we breached the contract first, and they're going to exercise the acquisition clause in the contract. He pulled out the investment contract and realized that there really was such a clause. If they leaked trade secrets, the Qin Corporation had the right to forcibly acquire them. And now the Jing Corporation has a source code sales contract signed by me. Does that count as leaking trade secrets? Wait. He suddenly thought of something and quickly turned on his computer. Sure enough, the signing date of that source code sales contract was after the Qin Corporation's investment. In other words, this is a trap. No, there's something even stranger. Why does the Qin Corporation have the Qin Corporation's internal emails? What does the Qin Corporation know about him and his wife? Why? $8 / ding dollar sounded, and he received an anonymous email. He opened it, and his pupils contracted sharply. It was a surveillance video. In the video, Qin Meiwei was in a secret conversation with someone. That person is Su Ming, the vice president of Qin Corporation, just the one who resigned a few days ago. So that's the truth. He quickly pulled out his phone, only to find that his wife's phone was already turned off. He called the Qin group, and the receptionist said that President Qin had fainted and was in the hospital. Which hospital? $XX$ hospital. But President Qin specifically instructed that no one should. Hello? Hello? He had already hung up and was running out like a madman. Wife, please, nothing must happen to you. This time, it's my turn to protect you. The smell of disinfectant in the hospital corridor was pungent. I'm sorry, President Qin specifically instructed that no one is allowed in. The nurse stopped him. I'm her husband. Sorry, those are President Qin's orders. He clenched his fist and stood at the door, refusing to leave. Wife, how long are you going to hide from me? Just then, Qin Hao called. President Xiao, you have to see this. What? I found it. Su Ming's transfer records for the past few months. Guess who transferred a large sum of money to? His heart suddenly raced. Who? Qin Meiwei. He gasped. As expected. There's more. Qin Hao continued. That source code sales contract was forged by Su Ming. Are you sure? I consulted a handwriting expert, Qin Hao said. The signature on it is a forgery, and in what? The time doesn't match. The contract says it was 3 months ago, but the paper and ink are both in the last 2 weeks. His mind went blank. So they designed all this. Yes, Su Ming has always wanted to oust President Qin. He knows that President Qin likes you, so he colluded with the Jing family to set up this trap. The purpose is to completely ruin President Qin in your eyes, so she will become depressed. Then Su Ming can. Before he could finish, he had already hung up and turned to rush to the nurse's station. The room key, quick. He took out his phone and called the chairman of the Qin group, putting him on speakerphone. Let him in, the chairman said. Anya Qin has already submitted her resignation. If something really happens to her, can you take responsibility? The nurse then hurriedly opened the door. The moment he pushed open the door, he saw his wife about to put something in her mouth. Stop! He rushed forward and snatched what was in her hand. It was a strip of sleeping pills. Are you crazy? He threw the pills out the window. She turned her head away. What are you doing here? Looking for my wife. Aren't you getting a divorce? Her voice was hoarse. I've already hired a lawyer. I'm not divorcing you. Why? She finally looked at him, her eyes red and swollen. After knowing the truth, you don't hate me? You say you do. I hate you for not trusting me. Anya. But I hate myself even more. He took her hand. I hate myself for not being able to protect the person I love the most. She was stunned. You know, I felt especially happy when you pretended to be a naive girl, because I could finally protect you, could give you support. But now I realize that you don't need my protection at all. You're so much stronger than me. From childhood to adulthood, you have been fighting alone. No one has ever protected you. So you don't express your feelings, you don't know how to be a little woman. You think you have to be strong, you have to be perfect. But wife, that's not how relationships work. He hugged her in his arms. There's no strength or weakness in a relationship, only mutual support. She trembled in his arms. But I lied to you. Yes, you lied to me, He kissed her hair. But you lied to me to keep me from being sad, right? She nodded. You just like to dwell on things too much, he said. You could have just told me directly. I was afraid. She grabbed his clothes. Afraid you'd dislike me. Silly, he scratched her nose. I love the real you. Really? She looked up, her eyes sparkling. Really? He kissed away her tears. Whether you're a domineering CEO or a gentle little darling, you're still my wife, my dearest wife. She finally smiled through her tears. Then can I throw my weight around at home in the future? Of course, he said with a smile. But what? But in bed, you still have to listen to your husband. Her face flushed red instantly. You're awful. Don't be shy, he whispered in her ear. This is what the CEO said, to be the real you. You. She punched him lightly. Shameless. He was about to tease her when his phone rang again. It was Chun Hao. Director Xiao, Su Ming, and Qin Meiwei have both been arrested. What? The chairman personally called the police. They're suspected of commercial fraud, and the evidence is solid. He looked at his wife. You knew all along? She nodded. Yeah, I've been investigating this matter. So today you. I was afraid you would really hate me. She lowered her head. If you really want to leave me, He hugged her tighter. Silly, I'll never leave you. Really? Really? Then swear. I swear. I raise my hand. If I ever leave you, let me. She covered his mouth. Don't swear recklessly. He kissed the palm of her hand with a smile. Okay, no swearing. But what? But you have to promise me one thing. What thing? Don't call me husband anymore. She was stunned. Huh. Call me $text, husband sama $. Get lost. The matter of Su Ming and Qin Meiwei caused a huge uproar in the industry. This matter was investigated beautifully. The chairman looked at his daughter-in-law with a smile. However, shouldn't you explain why you started investigating them so long ago? His wife put down the documents in her hand and glanced at him. Because they had their eyes on a project that's very important to me. Project? The chairman raised an eyebrow. You mean Director Zhao's company? She nodded. 3 years ago, I noticed an emerging technical team. Although they were small in scale, their ideas were very innovative. You're talking about their first product, the chairman pondered. It was indeed good, but it wasn't exactly amazing. The focus isn't the product, her gaze fell on him. It's the young man's attitude. He was stunned. 3 years ago, they hadn't even met. Back then, they had just started their business and were almost plagiarized by a competitor, she continued. Everyone else said to let it go, but he insisted on pursuing it to the end. Although he ultimately failed, he didn't give up. Instead, he learned from his mistakes and made a better product. This kind of $text never say dollar personality, she smiled, suits my taste. He suddenly remembered. That was their company's first product, and after it was plagiarized, he did make a fuss about it for a while. But in the end, he had to give up because he couldn't find any evidence. So she had been paying attention to him since then? So you've been paying attention to him ever since? Yeah. Later their technology became more and more mature. So I had people keep a close eye on their competitors to prevent anyone from having crooked ideas, until Su Ming suddenly became interested in this project. I knew there was a problem. Why? Because Su Ming never cares about small projects. He suddenly targeted this. He must be coming for me. He was dumbfounded. So she had set up this whole game, waiting for Su Ming and Qin Meiwei to take the bait? No wonder she appeared at that time. All right, the chairman stood up. You guys talk, I'll head out. After he left, he asked, So, since when, like you? She tilted her head, thinking. Probably when I saw you being bullied for the first time, clearly angry but still holding back, not out of fear, but waiting for a better opportunity. That look of stubbornness hidden beneath restraint. She looked at him, her eyes smiling. Especially cute. Later you certainly didn't disappoint me. In just 2 years, you created a product that even Su Ming coveted. And then our first meeting in the conference room. Wait. He interrupted her. Were you deliberately making things difficult for me? She blinked. What do you think? You. He gritted his teeth. You had already investigated my background, knew my abilities, and still deliberately gave me a hard time. Because I wanted to see if you were really as outstanding as your file described. She justified herself. And you certainly didn't disappoint me. You revised the plan in just 1 week. Even faster than I expected. He suddenly felt like he'd been played. So you had this plan from the beginning? Not exactly. She shook her head. I originally planned to pursue you step by step, but that car accident disrupted the plan. But thinking about it now, it's not bad. She snuggled into his arms. At least it let me experience being a pampered wife ahead of schedule. You woman. He was both annoyed and amused. You're too calculating. Not calculating, she said seriously. It's love. I like your courage to challenge things, your attitude when facing difficulties, the way you focus when you work, and I especially like your tolerance towards me. Even though my acting spoiled and my cooking was learned, you still went along with it. Why? Because I know you truly care about me. She rubbed against his chest, not caring about the $text $dollar of chins, but caring about me as a person. He held her tighter. Silly, of course I care about you. Yeah, I know, she said. That's why I love you so much. But she suddenly looked up. You really do look handsome when you're working. Really? She leaned close to his ear. Especially sexy. Wife, you're getting better and better at teasing. Of course, she raised an eyebrow at him. Don't you want to try the $text CEO's dollar tactics? Sure. He scooped her up in his arms. Let me see how powerful the $text CEO dollar is. Hey, this is work time. As your husband, I order you to get off work right now. You dare order me around? I wouldn't dare, he kissed her, smiling. But I can seduce you. Shameless. Don't you like me like this? Bah. I like you when you're serious. I'm being very serious right now, he said honestly. Seriously want to take you to bed. Looking at her both shy and annoyed, he suddenly felt very grounded. Maybe their beginning was a bit bumpy, but the ending is worth it, because he got the best wife in the world, a wife who is both beautiful and bold, and loves him especially. All grievances have ended. Qin Meiwei stood in court, expressionless as she finished her final statement. Su Ming's trial lasted 3 full days. All evidence showed that this was a carefully planned conspiracy. Their target wasn't his company, but Chen's. Chen Anya has done too well these years, Su Ming said. So well that it makes people jealous. He and Qin Meiwei joined forces to ruin Chen Anya's reputation. They knew what she cared about most. Not her career, not money, but me. He should have known. His wife, sitting in the audience, squeezed his hand. Their target was never the project itself. It's too late to think about that now, he said. Yes, she leaned on his shoulder. It's too late. Too late. This was a double entendre. For Su Ming and Qin Meiwei, it was indeed too late. Their conspiracy was exposed, and they would spend a long time in prison. But for them, too late had a different meaning. Too late that he had already fallen deeply in love with this woman. Too late that he couldn't live without her tenderness, without her strength, without all her little thoughts and calculations. Too late that even if she was no longer that virtuous little wife, he still loved her $text to pieces dollar. Coming out of the courthouse, she suddenly said, Honey, I have a gift for you. What gift? Come with me. She took him to the office on the top floor of the Chen Group building. Excuse me, President Chen, what are your instructions? She suddenly straightened her face and adopted a $text president's dollar demeanor. He was taken aback for a moment, then understood. It's like this, President Chen, I would like to ask you to invest in my new project. Oh, she raised an eyebrow. Tell me about it. A dating website, he said seriously, specifically to help successful career women find partners. Why do you want to do this? Because I found that some women are too strong, he said, looking at her. Even if they like someone in their heart, they don't dare to express it directly. They have to engineer a car accident, pretend to be amnesiac, and put on a good show. The corner of her mouth twitched. And then they make themselves suffer, he continued, studying recipes every day, learning to act cute, trying to become someone else likes. You're talking nonsense. She stood up. I really wanted to learn. Before she could finish, he kissed her. After a while, he let her go. President Chen, are you investing in this project? She gasped. How much investment are you planning to ask for? Not much, he said, smiling as he pulled a ring out of his pocket. Just the price of a diamond ring. This is... President Chen, I want to marry you, he knelt on one knee. Not marry that gentle and lovely little wife, but marry the real you. Marry this domineering, willful woman who bites people at the slightest provocation. But she blushed. Aren't we already married? That doesn't count, he said. You were pretending back then. This time, I want you to marry me as your true self. She bit her lip. What if I say no? Then I'll sue you for fraud, he said seriously. You stole my heart. That's a serious crime. Tit for tat, he said, smiling. President Chun, stop pretending. I know you've been prepared for a long time. How did you know? He pointed to her drawer. Because your proposal ring is already prepared. Annoying. She blushed and hit him. When did you find out? Last week, he grabbed her hand. So, President Chun, are you investing in this project? Yes. She threw herself into his arms. But I have a condition. What condition? Don't call me President Chun anymore, she whispered in his ear. Call me wife. Yes, Madam Wife. And she suddenly became serious. Don't dislike me for not knowing how to cook. I won't dislike you. And don't you dare dislike that I'm too assertive. Won't. And even more, don't you dare. He stopped her mouth with a kiss. Don't you dare dislike anything, because this is the you I love. Smooth talker, she pushed him away. Right, there's one last condition. Say it. Don't you dare think I'm better than you, she said seriously. In my heart, you're always the best. He looked into her eyes, which were filled with tenderness. It turned out that whether she was the small, delicate wife of the past or the female $text dollar she is now, the tenderness in her eyes has never changed, because that's how she looks at him. Wife, he said suddenly. I also have a condition. What? Don't change yourself for me anymore, just be yourself. What? Because I love you just the way you are. He kissed the corner of her eye. The sassy and sweet you. She snuggled into his arms. Okay, I understand. But what? But when we're at home, I still want to cook for you. What? Because, her face flushed. Because I feel so happy when I see the smile on your face when you eat my food, even though it might not be that good. He held her even tighter. Silly girl, your love is enough. The sunset outside the window streamed in, gilding her with a golden edge. In that moment, he finally understood. Loving someone isn't about making her change for you. It's about accepting all of her, including those little schemes and calculations, because those are all her ways of loving you. Yes, it's too late. Too late for either of them to live without the other. Too late because their love has already taken root, sprouted, and blossomed into the most beautiful flower. Wife. I love you. Me too, she whispered in his ear. More than you can imagine.